Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
What if the biggest barrier to real friendship is the bubble you don't even know you're living in? Hi everyone, I'm Barbara, and this is Age Better. Today's episode asks a question that feels more urgent than ever. How do we create real connection in a world that feels increasingly disconnected? My guest, Barnet Bain, is an award-winning movie producer and director whose new book, How to Be a Friend in an Unfriendly World, just launched. And it isn't just a book about friendship. It's a book about seeing ourselves clearly, softening the judgments we don't even know we're making, and learning how to truly show up for the people that we care about. One of the most important and powerful insights in Barnet's work is that the unfriendly world we experience isn't always out there. Many of us are living inside bubbles of fixed ideas, old stories, and unconscious judgments that keep us from the closeness that we crave. And that realization, painful as it can be, is also incredibly liberating. Barnet and I talk about what it means to pause before reacting, why we tend to perform in relationships instead of just being ourselves, and how honoring someone means being willing to be changed by them. We explore safety, vulnerability, the difference between self-love and self-centeredness, and the small practices, what he calls friendship workouts, that can transform our relationships at any age. So if you've ever felt misunderstood, lonely, disconnected, or simply out of practice with friendship, you are absolutely not alone. And this conversation will give you a powerful and hopeful way forward. Okay, everyone, get ready to age better. Hello, Barnet, and welcome to Age Better.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to being with you and to our listeners.
Oh, this is so wonderful. I'm so happy for you. You've written a beautiful book. You have a copy of it, so hold it up for us, please. How to Be a Friend in an Unfriendly World, which is out right now, everyone. And there will be a link in the show notes for everyone, so you can check out the book. You can check out more about my guest, and definitely check out that book because it was absolutely beautiful. I mean, the title is so apt, right? Right now, we're all feeling this, no matter where we are in the world, what our views are, what our worldview is, what our politics are, we're all feeling this is an unfriendly world. So how can I be better in it? And that's really what this is all about. So thank you for writing it, Barnet. I really appreciate it. So in my mind, probably the pivotal thing, my takeaway from reading this book, and the surprising element was when you came like face to face, you confronted your realization about what you called your own judgmental nature and how you kind of constructed this protective and isolating worldview, right?
Absolutely.
And when did you start to realize that? When you confronted your daughter, there was a painful moment because you were judging or not accepting her new life. And you call it living in a bubble of fixed ideas, like which we all have. Like we construct this bubble of fixed ideas, of fixed worldviews, and that's how we go about our lives. And you're trying to shake us out of that. So really what I want to know, how much of this kind of unfriendly world that you talk about and that we all are feeling comes from these unconscious bubbles of our fixated worldview versus the externals that we're confronting, whether it's technology and culture shifts or politics. Tell us about that.
Well, I think a surprising amount. We tend to blame politics or technology we cast it outside of ourselves, but the real trouble usually starts much closer to home. I should say that I didn't write this book because I had figured out friending. I wrote the book because I realized I wasn't that good at it. As you alluded to, my daughter had gone away to college and she came home to visit. It was her first time away. And she was excitedly unpacking what was going on in her life. And I kept coming at her with all of these questions. And the subtext of it was, did I approve of who she was hanging out with, what she was doing, what were her course loads? And she called me out on it. And she said, whoa, what is going on here? What happened to this loving, quote unquote, unconditional guy? But what happened to my dad? And I realized that I was being hostile and that I was judging her and that I wasn't conscious of it as it was coming out.
Right.
But clearly, my so-called unconditional love, we'd hit the conditions. It's only unconditional as long as she was mirroring back my belief system and my values. And as long as I saw myself and mirrored in her choices, it was quote unquote unconditional. But the moment she started to become her own person,
Right.
well, I discovered the conditions and she discovered the conditions, and worse, it hurt her. And my experience of the impact that I had on her was enough to kind of shake me awake. So that was part one. The second part was that I had been walking in the park near my home and I came across a street performer. And this guy was wonderful. He had this fabulous outfit on with little mirrors and things sewn into them. And he had two long sticks and a length of yarn between the sticks. And he would dip them into a bucket of soapy water and he'd make these incredible bubbles. And they would shimmer and he'd make shapes out of them. I was captivated. The pièce de résistance was this bubble that he made at the end. It was so large and he pulled it around himself and stepped into it. So there he was inside this shimmering soap bubble. And the penny dropped for me. I realized this was the second part of the thing with my daughter, Sophie. I understood that I operate in a bubble of my own beliefs and thinking and feeling and attitude and fixed ideas and the way that I was raised and all the inputs that happen, and which very few of these thoughts originate with me, frankly.
Yeah, that's
They
true.
just all come in and I live in this bubble. And I thought, as long as I'm interacting with people who reflect my bubble, I'm fine. But when they don't necessarily reflect my bubble, I either bristle at it, or I'm triggered by it, or I judge it, or worse, maybe I make them invisible. So from that realization, uncomfortable as it was, I thought I want to grow. I don't want to just leave it like this. I wanted to do something about it. And I began to investigate for myself the question, what does it take to be a good friend? Now, to your point, how much of the unfriendly world comes from our own bubbles? Probably a good amount, because we're not seeing people as they are. We're seeing them through our own bubbles of fixed ideas.
Yes. And we all, I mean, as you point out in your book, we all are, I don't want to say guilty of this, but yes, we all are guilty. But it's interesting too, because I did ask about the externals versus the internal bubble that we're all living in.
Mm-hmm.
But these internal bubbles, as you just pointed out, are created by external forces that are kind of forced upon us from the moment we're born into whatever family, region, country, religion. and so on and so forth. And this is like an ongoing battle. But wow, how lucky is your daughter? I have to point this out. I hope she's told you this. For you to be so self-aware, I don't know how long it took, to be so self-aware that you would actually say, as you said, I want to grow from this. This is not good. Bravo.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about the self-aware part. I will say that change happens in a second. So there was decades and decades and decades of being unaware of this. Suddenly the awareness and the change happens instantly. So this is the other version of becoming an overnight success. Suddenly you understand it. But once you notice that bubble, the bubbles that they distort everything. And once you notice it, you really can't unsee it. And so paradoxically, the moment that whether it's me or it's you or any of us takes ownership of our part in the unfriendly world, and by that I mean, by the time I finished interpreting events, they become unfriendly. I don't know that they are unfriendly on the surface of it. And it doesn't matter, frankly, whether it's intrinsically unfriendly. What matters is how I respond to things. So if I am set up to be confrontive, if I'm set up to have these kinds of automatic behaviors where I am combative, where I am judgmental, where I insist that everything matches my own values and my own sensibilities, then I'm going to find problems wherever I look.
Yeah, think about that. No
Absolutely.
matter who you're talking with, who your friends are, yeah, there are going to be problems.
You're always going to be screening for an issue because there's this, it's like wearing dark glasses,
Yes.
and whatever comes in is tinted by the color of the glasses.
Yeah. I mean, it's really incredible. I had to really think long and hard about that point when reading the book, and I know I do that. There's no question I do that as a parent. And I was specifically thinking about my relationship with my own two daughters. And then I was thinking about my husband, he will listen to this episode, of course, and he will hear me say he's even more so because he's a little stricter. He's got expectations that I'm like a little more like, well, okay. It's very interesting and how we all have to work on this clearly. So Cicero wrote over 2,000 years ago, How to Be a Friend, which is kind of funny. Yet here we are still struggling with the same fundamentals around friendship and relationships. So clearly the human need for friendship and relationships hasn't changed. We still need it. And boy, I have had because the focus of my podcast is aging better and healthy and all that great stuff. And so I've had a lot of experts on who've written books. Some have just done research on it about the importance of social connection to aging better. So we know how important this is. So what's changed? Like, what's the biggest new challenge to friendship in our modern world compared to 2,000 years ago?
My book is named, I'm sort of with a nod to Cicero. I began my investigation about friendship with Cicero, who wrote How to Be a Friend, as you say, 2,000 years ago. And it's quite amazing how little has changed, and the challenges are ever present. The one new wrinkle that doesn't necessarily change the challenges of being trusting and allowing oneself to be changed in positive ways by our friends. And we'll get into all of that a little more in a minute. But what has made it more complicated, and the piece that maybe that Cicero couldn't have imagined, is the speed of modern life.
Yeah.
It's that our nervous system is so overstimulated that we forget to slow down enough to actually feel connected with others and connected even more so, connected with ourselves. I can't be a better friend to you than I am to myself. And it requires slowing down so that I can witness my internal dialogue, so that I can witness my thoughts, so that I can witness my feelings, and I can ask myself, where did these come from? Are they original with me? If they are or if they aren't, are they working for me? What tends to happen is we are reactive and we close the gap that allows us to reflect, that allows us to be responsible, that allows us to participate in our own relationships rather than being reactive. And the faster things go, the less just try driving above your comfort level
Yeah.
behind the wheel of your car. The faster it goes, the less in control we are of our vehicles or our relationships or of our lives. So this speed thing is a good part of why the world feels so chaotic right now. It's just because it moves so quickly. We can no longer trust our senses. We're overwhelmed by them, and we don't have practice in slowing down our responses to life long enough to be conscious about our decisions and our feelings.
Yeah.
Where do these feelings come from?
Technology is a big part of this too, the speed of our lives and the speed of information that we see and the anger that is also very present. I think in a lot of people who are, because of technology, they're seeing things that back in Cicero's day that you wouldn't see unless it was in real life. And that can make people more angry and maybe more judgmental and all the other things that we've been talking about. It's really fascinating.
There are so many aspects to it.
Yeah.
Because life moves so quickly, we don't have time to even feel our feelings. That doesn't mean the feelings aren't happening. We just don't have enough bandwidth, enough time to feel them so that they can dissipate by themselves. Instead, they just get stuffed down, stuffed down, stuffed down. And so, as you were talking about, as people grow older,
Yeah.
it's not that they lose capacity as they grow older. What it is, it's kind of like filling a reservoir of feelings that have not been given an opportunity to be expressed because there's no time. We're on to the next thing, to the next thing. So every feeling, whether it's a grievance or even a joy, even if it's an excitement, it just gets piled up and piled up and piled up. And by the time we are more advanced in years, it becomes a weight. It shows up in unhelpful ways. It can show up as anxiety. It can show up as disease. It can show up as headaches. It can show up as various conditions of all kinds. So there's certainly technology is a huge factor, but so is everything else. Busyness is kind of a badge of honor in our culture. And
Yes, it is.
friendship doesn't thrive in a hurry.
No, it really, really doesn't. Hey, there's something else I wanted to get to, and that I think is a powerful tool that I really try to practice myself, but I'm not really always that good at it. And that is taking a beat, right? It's that moment when you're engaging with someone, and especially like, again, I'm thinking about one of my daughters calling me and saying about something that's happening to them that needs a fix. And immediately I jump into mom mode. The mama bear mode really is more like it. And to fix that problem, whether it's the boss or the boyfriend or it's the whatever, fill in the blank inside. And that's not good. Sometimes they just want to tell you what's bothering them and just share with you without you jumping in and trying to fix it or explain it. Or so it's what you're calling take a beat, a tiny pause, take a breath, Really just count to 5, whatever works for you, whatever the mechanism that will work for you to kind of slow down your opening your mouth to fix that problem or just say something is so important. Talk to us about that.
It's a little trickier for moms. So moms,
I do it with my girlfriends too, just so you know.
You need to, well, that's a different matter.
So we can bring it back down to the friendship level. I do it with them too.
Moms need to cut themselves a little slack.
Okay.
Because it is in the nature of momming to be responsible for the decisions of small children. The challenge for moms is the transition from being responsible from a small child or a younger child to a maturing child and then to an adult.
To an adult. My daughters are adults.
To let go of I know.
Right.
I know better. It's super hard.
But bring it to the friends level, which is really the focus of your book, right? Taking that breath.
That's the moment that we take in order to step out of, you could call it autopilot. I call it the bubble. It takes a bit to step out of the bubble. Most of us, as you say, we rush to fix. And why do we rush to fix? I think we rush to fix because the discomfort of somebody else's pain triggers our own anxiety. So taking a beat interrupts that pattern. It shifts it to, I'm here with you. I'm not trying to make this go away so that I feel better. I'm here with you while you're experiencing whatever you're experiencing. I'm not going to try and rob you of your experience. I'm not going to pretend I know better. I'm not going to pretend it doesn't help you. I'm not going to pretend anything. I'm just going to be with you. When our friends feel our presence rather than our performance, I'm going to fix you, I'm the go-to fixer, trust deepens. That small pause is where safety begins. Our friends begin to feel, I'm safe with you. You're not going to rush in and try and fix me. You're not going to shift this into a relationship where you know better than I do. I'm not going to get the subtle message that I'm less than or I don't know how to take care of myself. This is particularly with men and women. Men tend to rush in. I mean, I know this, my wife for many, many years would get frustrated with me and say, I just want you to listen to me.
Yes, I agree with you. It's very common between men and women in relationships.
So common. Mm-hmm. And men lose patience because we are uncomfortable when our partners are uncomfortable. And so I rob her of her experience and I try and steamroller it. Well, try this, anything so I don't have
to alleviate her pain. Yeah, no, I totally get it.
And what happens is she has more pain. Now she has still stuck with her bag of pain. And on top of that, she's feeling unheard and unmet and alone.
So you acknowledge this when you book, and then you talk about the importance of not doing that to build that trust again, or rebuild the trust if it's already been broken.
And that's what a friendship is. I mean, the beauty of a friendship is that unlike a family relationship or a spousal relationship, those relationships, as wonderful, miraculous, and powerful as they are, there are unspoken contracts.
Unspoken social contracts. Mm-hmm.
There are certain obligations and indebtedness that is unspoken. Now, in a pure friendship, this is by no means every friendship, but in a really pure friendship, you have equals. There are equal status, and there is obligation in the same way that I have an obligation to water my roses. That's an obligation, but there's no indebtedness. I don't owe the roses anything or vice versa. That is very rarely the case in marriages and in families. There is both obligation and there is some indebtedness. You owe me, or it's usually not conscious, but it's there. It could be as subtle as I labored for 6 hours, you owe me. So in a beautiful friendship, there is a opportunity to be with somebody, and it's almost like a place where you can rehearse the acts of kindness and honesty and vulnerability that are the building blocks of not only your friendships and your families and your relationships, but of society. It is a place that is the clearest arena in which to grow, in which to let down your guard a little bit
Right.
and be changed for the better.
Yeah. It's work. What we're talking about here so far, everything we've been talking about is practice
Yeah.
and acknowledgement, acknowledging these kind of shortcomings or attributes in yourself or characteristics in yourself, and then working on them.
They're more like edges. I used to think of them as shortcomings, but they're all developmental. I mean, no matter how mature we are, no matter how wise somebody might be, they have a boundary to their sense of self, and it can always grow. And in a really wonderful friendship, there is the safety to be vulnerable
Yeah.
without having the other party weaponize it. I grew up in a family where, and again, I'm not judging anybody. This is just a discernment. In my family of origin, there was a lot of teasing, and we all thought that it was cute, except if you were at the receiving end of teasing.
Right.
Then people don't think it's cute. So there's a certain kind of, in a friendship, there is a space for the vulnerability for somebody to have a behavior or express something. And in a really good friendship, that vulnerability is not weaponized. So we realize, if I tease somebody, I'm going to shut them down here. They're not so likely to be authentic with me the next time. And maybe in that understanding, I learned something about myself, and I give permission to somebody else to be more authentic with another person.
Exactly. We're all in a process, like we're all evolving, always.
Always.
Constant state of evolving. So, Brenda, you encourage people to borrow from improv, and I thought this was really fascinating. Improv, like I actually went to for a season or a class, a series of classes, whatever you want to call it, in New York City at the Upright Citizens Brigade, which is like the
Oh, wow.
premier, I
Yeah.
know,
I'm
improv, like a
impressed.
lot of like Amy Poehler, they all came from there. Why did I go? Because I was doing, it's about 10 years ago or 8 years ago, and I was doing an online show for AARP. And anyway, the producer wanted me to be even more relaxed in front of the camera. And so she sent me off to improv. It was one of the best experiences. And that's when I first heard about the practice of yes and. Yes
Yeah.
and. The yes and mindset as a way to expand your worldview. I mean, it's really, so how can someone apply this principle of yes and with people that they disagree with without feeling like you're abandoning your core values and the like? But talk to us about the yes and. Maybe even explain what it is for people who aren't familiar with it. But it's a central part of improv.
So in improv, and you see it on Saturday Night Live every week for those that aren't aware of it, there's only one rule. And the rule is whatever somebody says to you, you don't get to say, I don't like that, and I'm going to do my own thing. You guess whatever they say to you, you go, yeah, and I'm going to build on it. So it's
Right.
kind of like, if you imagine a sailboat sailing against the wind and it tacks back and forth, and the wind says, we're going to blow this way. And I say, but I want to sail this way. So I go, yes, the wind's blowing this way, but now I'm going to tack the other way. That's kind of what yes and is. So to your question, How do you use yes?
How do we really apply this principle with people that we disagree with?
Well, yes and is not about agreeing. It's about acknowledging.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
It means I hear you. I can build on whatever you're saying, even if, sometimes, especially if, building means offering a different angle. So you keep your values, your ideas, your politics, your whatever it is, you simply stop treating every disagreement as a contest. Yes, and is a posture of curiosity, and curiosity is disarming. Nobody ever felt attacked by a sincere "tell me more,"
Right.
and
No.
that's very different from hearing something that you disagree with and immediately feeling that you have to justify yourself. You have to win. Friending and you have to win are incompatible. That is not friending. And that's my daughter, Sophie. That's my story with judging her and insisting that she becomes me. In a good friendship, you give permission to somebody for somebody to be different than you
Right. To be themselves.
without losing your love.
Yeah.
To the extent that you can let somebody be different than you without them losing your love, that is a miraculous muscle. I mean, that one allows everybody in the relationship to grow, to learn compassion, to learn empathy, and to put aside the I have to be right, therefore you have to be wrong game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was a fascinating thing. I was fascinated by that approach. And I never thought I would be using the yes and improv lesson that I learned in everyday relationships, but I totally get it. They have a great book, by the way, the Upright Citizens Brigade, kind of like how to do it. And it's a big part of it. I just think it's a fascinating thing.
They're well known.
Yeah. And everybody, you should check it out. So a lot of people admit that they're actually performing when they're in a relationship, and even they're pretending to be acting to be confident and agreeable and okay, and even oh, I'm okay. And maybe none of that is really true. And so they privately feel like they're frauds. So what is one small, not too scary step someone can take today to experiment with showing up as their real, authentic, but imperfect self?
Well, it's a great question. And there are certainly hacks, and I can suggest a few. But I think the more urgent question is to ask oneself, what am I afraid of? And usually the fear is, I'm not going to be liked for who I am.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And to use a computer analogy, that is not a program that comes pre-installed. So somebody taught me, you, whoever is having such a feeling, that feeling is, I'm no stranger to that feeling, that I'm not enough. Somebody taught me that. They may have taught it to me deliberately, or I may have just taken it in that way. Maybe I took it in at school because there were other people in my class as a young boy who were smarter, better, getting more strokes, getting more attention. And maybe I had feelings of being less than or inferior, whatever it is.
Yeah.
The question is, where did I learn that I'm not enough? And then the next question is, what would happen if I dropped the performance? Now, again, my nature is to be a performer, not in a healthy way. My nature is to make jokes and to be sort of a Mr. Bojangles and be popular that way. And it's a strategy. It's a strategy I learned as a boy, and I took it on as a boy, and it to whatever I'm alive. I'm still here. So obviously it worked to some degree.
Yeah,
As an
exactly. Hasn't hurt
adult,
you too much.
it's obnoxious at worst and tolerable at best and can get old really quickly if somebody spends more than an hour with me and I'm in that mode. It can get old really, really quickly. And so the question is, well, what am I covering up by doing that? Again, you have to slow it down enough to realize you're doing these kinds of performances. You're doing it. What am I covering up? Well, I'm always covering up that I'm not enough kind of thing. And what is at risk here?
Rejection?
Rejection? You're not being accepted for who you are as a performer anyway. I mean, this is something that I discovered. When I'm being appreciated as a performer, it's not me that's being appreciated. So I
Right.
lose either way. It's my performance that's being appreciated. So there's really, as a young person, I understand why young people perform.
Yeah.
But as an adult, we can put down childish strategies and have the courage to see, well, what happens if I don't perform? Well, I can speak from experience. Then I'll have nothing to say. Well, so be it.
Yeah, nothing wrong with a
let's see how
little
that plays out.
quiet. Yeah.
What's that going to be like? No, I have to contribute at every dinner conversation. Well, what if I don't? Well, then somebody says you're being quiet. And yeah, at least I'm being seen.
Yeah. But then people will because I know people like that. And then if they choose to be quiet, then people think, oh, something is wrong. So it can get a little tricky.
Yeah, well, now we see how people who feel they have to perform find people who have to fix. They gravitate towards each other. So suddenly you stop performing and the fixer says, well, what's the problem? Let me fix it. So
Gee, we are complicated beings, aren't we?
it looks like we're complicated, but eventually we start seeing the patterns. So I would say, and again, I'll speak from my personal experience.
Yeah.
I admit something tiny about myself, not existential, something just human. I am more quiet than I let on. I'm nervous about tonight. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah. These are all so common.
These tiny admissions, they create like a permission. The moment that I drop my performance, I invite somebody else to be themselves too.
Yeah. I think it's so helpful when you think about those things, what you just said, to stop thinking that way about yourself. Like acknowledge these things about yourself and be authentic about it with other people. That's the message here. And then you also think, if I'm feeling this way, I'm sure a lot of other people that I'm engaging with on a regular basis are too. Everybody is, exactly, which makes me feel a little more tender towards people as well.
You invite somebody else to be themselves. You're quiet. The fixer says, "What's the wrong? You're not yourself. Let me fix it. Let me help. And you say, "No, I'm fine." And now the fixer has nothing to fix, and they have to be themselves. And believe me, now you're watching somebody else being as awkward as you're feeling.
Yeah. The wonderful thing about your book, I want to just tell you, Barnett, is that you really offer tools in the book. You offer tools, and it's the kind of book you can pick up, like leave it at your bedside, everyone. Like you're in that moment of self-reflection when you're not rushing, like we were talking about, speeding around the universe, and life going on too fast. When you have a little time to kind of quiet your mind and your body, not when you're out for a run, but just like sit quietly, pick up the book and read a part of it, flip around. I mean, that's how it was really designed to be read and used. It's one of those books that you're going to read it, of course, but you're going to use it, and it gives you tools, and you call it your friendship field guide. And so there are parts of it that I just found so incredibly helpful. I brought up a few, but there's so much more. And again, they're tools. So what's one simple thing from your own book that you want to share with everyone that they could do right now, starting today, to improve their ability to be a friend in an unfriendly world?
Well, for one day, assume the best intent in everything your friend does, or your partner, or your child, even the annoying stuff. For one day, just see how that plays. A whole day with assuming there's some good intention behind this.
So, and no judging, just with that one lens, one single lens, good intention.
Absolutely, you're going to be aware that you're judging, but you're going to put that in neutral. You're aware that you're judging, but you're not judging. Just try it for a day.
Yeah, I love it.
You asked for one, I'm going to give you two.
All right, give us two.
On the phone, look someone straight in the eye and be with them. Just be with them. Just be present with them. Don't try and fix them. Just be with them.
Be there.
Being with somebody is the greatest gift you can give another person.
Yes, I love that so much. And I'm going to ask you for three more things because I always end every episode with this question. What are your three top takeaways that you really want to make sure everyone remembers from this conversation today?
Number one, friendship is a practice. It's not a personality trait. It's not an automatic behavior. It starts with the awareness of our own bubble. Number two would be that connection begins with safety. Safety starts with being aware of myself and how am I making it comfortable for other people without self-abandoning. Number three, small acts matter more than big gestures. One beat, one curiosity, one little appreciation at a time is how an unfriendly world becomes friendlier.
Oh, I love that. I love all three of those. I love everything you said, but I really, really love that last one so much. If everyone could just kind of follow that, I think it would be a much friendlier, better world. Thank you so much, Barnet. I wish you all the luck with this wonderful book. Again, everyone, information about Barnet Bain's in the show notes and also everything you need to know about the book. I encourage you to get a copy. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it's, again, one of those things that you will use. I keep going back to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you enjoyed this episode of Age Better Podcast, please do a few things. First, share it with all your friends and family. Then, subscribe to Age Better wherever you listen to podcasts, including YouTube, so you never miss a single episode. Finally, if you have ideas for topics you want me to cover in a future episode of Age Better, send an email to agebetterpodcast@gmail.com or reach out to me on social media. Until next time, remember this. We can't control getting older, but we can control how we do it. Talk to you soon. Age Better Podcast is a proud member of the Sound Advice Network. Sound Advice, women's voices amplified.